Hey, it's Khalil with the Cashflow Contractor. Thanks for listening and tuning in. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, now's a great time to do it. If you are interested in building your construction business to be profitable and to run without you so you can have less stress, more time, and more money, we want to send you more content that can help you do that. I talk to contractors all the time who listen while they're driving from job site to job site, while they're taking care of stuff in the office or at home. And it's a great podcast for them because it gives them actual ideas and strategies they can use inside their business in a conversational format with two goobers like me and Martin. So if you're interested in that, you want more strategies to help you grow and improve your business, subscribe now. Now, let's get into the show. Why do we get unfocused or distracted on projects? Why does that happen?
Their minds are thinking about all the things that they have to do, whether it's marketing or cash flow or finishing a bid or hiring somebody or training. So they're working on something and thinking about something else. And by that, they're not getting the best anywhere.
It takes a serious effort to let go of the routine, to lift your head up instead of being just down and running from thing to thing. Say, hey, what needs to happen to get this exactly right?
The thing about focusing and getting started in this one thing is you will become addicted to the information. You will become addicted.
Today's episode is sponsored by OpenPhone. It's the perfect business phone system for contractors that you can manage just from your cell phone. If you're interested in hearing more about OpenPhone, check out the show notes to get an offer directly from them. The link is right here, and you'll find it down the show notes. Thanks for checking out today's episode, brought to you by OpenPhone.
Expert advice, practical tips, real-life stories. Have less stress, more time, and more money in your business. Welcome to the Cashflow Contractor.
Martin, this is not coming out on the New Year's, but Happy New Year to you. We're recording on the 2nd of
You
January.
too, Khalil?
Yeah.
You too?
I've got, any big resolution for you or word of the year? Do you do anything like that?
No, but I've got clients who do. Resolution, meaning bringing something to a close. We resolve that court case, and that'll be great resolution. Yeah, I have. Well, I don't put it in the form of resolution. I have some goals, and
Okay.
and they are creating some coursework, and I think you know what I'm
Yeah.
working
That'll
on.
be exciting. We'll have to,
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
once that is a little bit further along, we'll have to share it with the audience.
Yeah, we just have to make it interesting and clever so that people aren't bored down by having to learn something tedious. But
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Well, a word for me this year I want is focus, just to be a lot more dialed in. And that really gets at the heart of what we want to talk about today is
Right.
just being more focused on the work that you do, being able to make the most out of it and not being spread thin, not being all over the place, but being really focused on hitting your numbers on just one job
Right.
and making the perfect job possible for you and your team. So what are we promising listeners by the end of this? They should have very clear, actionable ideas of how they can take one project and see it through to be on time and on budget
Yeah.
very clearly.
Do that
Now,
today.
you can do it today.
Yeah.
Now, I want to start with this and just kind of why do we get unfocused or distracted on projects? Why does that happen?
That's a good question because the answers tells you what you need to work on to correct.
Yeah.
But I notice it in myself and in every client at some time and in a lot of clients all the time. And that's that their minds are thinking about all the things that they have to do, whether it's marketing or cash flow or finishing a bid or hiring somebody or training or setting up processes, just all these things you need to do. And so they're working on something and thinking about something else, which is real common. And by that, they're not getting the best anywhere. So I think that it takes, because you've introduced over the past few weeks the idea of tactics, takes a tactical move, right? A focus, as you're calling it.
Yeah.
Say, okay, when we're looking, if if we're looking at everything, we're not doing any particular thing well. That's just a natural fact. Same as gravity, and it's just a fact. So what do? Let's undo that. And I think
Yeah.
that's what we want to talk about today is how to focus on something that makes a matter and then know whether we succeeded or didn't succeed. And if we didn't succeed, or if we did, what did we do right or what did we do wrong? And then do it again, one at a
Yeah.
time. Pay
Yeah.
attention.
I think with the most common thing I see, even for myself, distracting people is that whenever you get into a project, you want to have everything perfect. Perfectionism is basically at the heart of that. Of everything is documented, everything is clear, and then if it's not there, you get distracted by trying to create the system. That's if you're a perfectionist, probably like me. Then the other thing that gets in the way is getting stuck in the same routine, especially if you're in the death spiral, like we've talked about in previous episodes, where you need this job to fund the previous job and all these different things. You're distracted because you're not able to focus because the
Right.
margin on the last job wasn't right. And so now you've got to get a deposit from this customer to finish out that job. And it's a death spiral. And so it takes a serious effort to let go of the routine, to lift your head up instead of being just down and running from thing to thing. Say, hey, what needs to happen to get this exactly right? So that's what we'll talk about today. So let's just jump straight in for our listeners. So the first thing that we want to talk about is project scope. That is the first thing. Why is that the first thing?
Well, first step in a tactical move, I think what maybe we need to say at this point too is that one of the ideas is to take a project, a job, a bid.
Yeah, we're just doing one.
We're doing one, right?
Don't worry about doing multiple.
Forget the fact that your marketing people told you your website's no good or whatever. Just forget all that. We're going to look at that job, and we're going to make sure that we did what we thought we were going to do. So that begins, as you say, with the scope. If we expect our folks or ourselves to do something, we have to know what it is we want them to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's fair enough that for a job, the folks who have to do it need to know the scope. I mean, you would think that goes without saying, but a lot of times it just goes without.
Yeah.
Go put that pavement in. Well, are we doing the fence or just the? Oh, I don't know. Go build that pool. Well, what's it supposed to look like? Well, kind of like, anyway.
Is there a sprinkler system?
It starts with scope because you have to understand what it is we're trying to do. And that would be in a properly displayed or described scope of the work. And all the guys need to know it, right? Guys and gals.
Well, the customer needs to know it. You need to be very, very clear. I think the best way that I think about it is, how does the customer win and how do we win, right? And then you can ask, what are we agreeing to with the customer? If you can answer all those questions, you can really get to a great scope. But understanding that we both want to win. This is not like we're trying to screw over the customer, and it's not like they're trying to screw over us. How can we mutually win in this project? And if we define that very clearly about, hey, we've got to meet this amount, right? And we've got to finish in this time, and we've got to start by this time, and we've got to have these things available to us. And then they're clear, and this is exactly how we want it to look. This is our goal for the project. If you can do all those things and really line those out and define them, then you're going to have a very clear scope.
Everybody needs to understand what is expected.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of times this can be a siloed information sometimes, where the project scope gets to 1-2 people on the team, but it's not communicated thoroughly enough to everyone on the team where anybody could define the scope, right? And so really communicating that, we'll talk more about project communication in a little bit. Quick ad break to tell you about Growth Kits. This is actually my company, and you may have seen it around, but I started Growth Kits because I kept seeing contractors struggle with the same problems over and over again. They were trying to be better organized inside of their business, but kept drowning in the day-to-day operations. So whether you need a better CRM, a hiring process that actually works, or you just want to make sense of the tech stack inside of your business, we have systems that are built specifically for contractors. You can either grab our DIY guides and implement these systems yourself, or you can hire us to work with you on it and implement it for you. No massive consulting fees, no year-long commitments or monthly retainers. Just pick what you need right now and let's get it done together. Head over to growth-kits.com to see how we can help you construct your success one system at a time. That's growth-kits.com, or just click the link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. Let's move on to the project bid. So we talk about this a lot. We talk about pricing. What needs to happen on the project bid to have the perfect project?
Well, the bid is part of the scope, of course, of revenue versus cost and then profitability. But I think we split the bid out a little bit because separately from scope, because the guys who are doing the job need to understand what the bid is. Sometimes people are reluctant to tell, to talk numbers with guys. Well, they are responsible for hitting the numbers. They're the ones out there doing it. And they're responsible for the score, if you will. They have to know how the score is kept, and they have to know what the score is. And otherwise you're asking them, they're acting in the dark. They don't know how many man hours they're supposed to do. It's all pays the same. So that's a really important thing, is that the guys, they don't even necessarily need to know, hey, this was a $400,000 job, but they do need to know that you can tell them what the material bid was and what their what the total labor bid was on the deal, and that they can understand whether they're within that scope or not. But they have to have some idea. Yeah. They have to have a target. They have to
give
know
them
the
a target
expectation
for those two things, and then show them where they're at. Give them don't just say, hey, this is the target. We're working on this for the next 3 weeks. Every day, hey, this is our target. This is where we stand. We're on pace, or we're behind pace, or whatever it is.
At the risk of distraction, but I just want to mention, because I know people ask this, that's hard to keep track of. There are softwares that do that, but we're not talking about going and getting that software right now either.
Yeah, don't distract yourself.
Because that's a distraction. Get a yellow notebook.
That's the next one.
Or
project expenses. And it can be more than that. But how do I keep track of my expenses? Yes, you've got apps, you've got software. Maybe you already have that stuff in place. If you're having trouble with it, because having it in place and having it effectively in place are not the same thing. If you're having trouble with it, you're still not hitting margin, you're still not clear on the project, go back to the yellow pad, right? So why do you like the yellow pad, Martin?
The only reason, I'm a technology Neanderthal. So I'm not an early adopter. I'm a late adopter.
Yeah.
But I don't want to confuse things by telling you that you've got to go buy this project management app or turn on this module we just want to get this job and see how we did. And we can do that on a yellow legal pad that you carry in the truck. And you call the office if there's somebody there and say, how much that load of concrete cost? What did that load of lumber cost? What did the nails cost? Who worked at the job this week or this, depending on how long it takes. And just write those numbers down, right? Presumably you got good books. If you had really good books and you're doing really good job costing, we're probably not having this conversation because you're already doing it. But just take a legal pad and write it down.
Yeah. And for people like me, that the yellow legal pad brings me back to my grandmother as a realtor, just smoking cigarettes and
it started out as a white legal pad and smoked enough cigarettes.
The cigarettes turned to yellow? No. If you're not really into the legal pad thing, pull up a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
And just keep it all there. And
whatever
don't format
it takes
it,
to
don't
make
distract
yourself with easy.
Just make it easy. Use the Notes app on your iPhone.
Yes.
Right?
I do a lot do a lot of that, Khalil.
I know you do.
I've got hundreds of them. Whatever it takes that you can observe, pay attention, so that you've got numbers at the end and you can look at, this is what came in and this is what went out. This is how many days it took. Did we hit our margins? Did we hit our time frame?
And this is what your focus needs to be on, just one of these projects, because otherwise this is where you get so overwhelmed and you get distracted. You've got 5 jobs going, and then what legal pad is it on? Or where is it at? It can be really a lot. And I think that's where a lot of people that are trying to grow as a contractor and they start taking on all this work, that's where that goes south really quick, because when they were just by themselves or them and one person doing the work, they could focus on that one job.
Well, the thing about focusing and getting started in this one thing is do this at least once. You will become addicted to the information. You will become addicted. If you bid stuff for a 45% margin, and then when you add it all up, you've got a 19% margin, you know what you have to do. I mean, we can get real tactical on that too. You know, why did the guys not make it on time? Did you just estimate it wrong? Were you get nervous and give somebody a discount? What was it? But you at least know, I cannot do this anymore. Once you get to tracking that, it'll be your lifeblood. It'll be with your morning coffee.
Yeah.
We had a guest on, Robert Keys, who did environmental drilling. And I remember him saying that on all their jobs, he got an email from the cost accounting department, and the subject line was the margin. And if the margin was really good, he didn't even open the email. I mean, unless he wanted to. But if it was bad, he was all over it. What happened here? Right?
Yeah.
You just get addicted to it. You want to know, do I even have a chance of making money?
Yeah.
And if you don't, you have to fix it. No choice.
Well, and what you said just made me think about something with scope and the change orders, that you have to be very, very, very particular about change orders. If that scope is wavered from at all, change order. And you don't bid the change order at the same margin. You bid it at a much higher margin. Because if you do it at the same margin, you're losing money.
Okay.
You have to do it.
I'm distracting us further, but I guess that's
You
what
are.
I do. But
That's what you do. But
I had a conversation about that subject with a guy on Tuesday, and he listened to this, and he'll know who I'm talking about. I said, what are you doing today? And he says, I'm going back to a job to fix a pipe. You're sending guys to fix a pipe. It's not my fault. It was what I do. It's in my contract that I don't have to fix these things, but I'm going back and fixing it because I'm a nice guy, right? That is costing him, I didn't dive into it, whatever it costs to send guys to fix a pipe. Plus it's costing the job they're not doing because he has a backlog. So it's killing him.
Yeah.
And that's something we can fix. How would you tactically correct that? You tactically say, this pipe broke. Would you like me to estimate what it would cost me to fix it, or to have me fix it? Or can I recommend some plumbers or whatever kind of pipe it was, right?
Yeah.
Instead of going, okay, I'll fix it. So sorry, but that's one of the things that he already found by thinking about a job and talking specifically. I'm going back today. Okay, that's something we have to stop doing.
Yeah. Okay, so focusing on one job again, we've talked about scope. We added change orders to that just now, which is a very important one. We've talked about the project bid and having targets for your team and really communicating those targets regularly. We've talked about just getting a grip on your expenses, even if it means going back to a yellow legal pad or your iPhone notes, just a very basic way that you can actually see the information and keep track of it. Obviously, for any of these things, you may already have a software or system in place, but if it's not working, get back to one project and just get focused. The next one is project communication. We had Chad Prinky on recently talking about the morning huddle. You got to do a morning huddle.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Well, part of the communication is that initial scope of the work, which is a little more than that. But the morning huddle really began in crazy jobs like software and building fighter planes. When we want a fighter plane, nobody knows how to do any of that, right? They're figuring it out. So that morning huddle is a 5-minute, 10-minute meeting total where the 4 questions: what were you going to do yesterday? What did you get done? What do you plan to do today? And do you need anything from me? Meaning if you're the owner or the boss. If
Yeah.
they do need something, some information or something, that's a separate meeting. But it holds everybody accountable because they're going to have to talk about it tomorrow. It's communication. Everybody hears what everybody's supposed to do. It's very brief, and there's an opportunity for correction in the what do you need from me? And that's a 5-minute, 10-minute deal if you got 4 guys on a crew, right?
Right.
Tailgate meeting. But it
Yeah.
just keeps everybody in line.
Yeah. And that's where you communicate every day. These are our targets. Here's where we stand on labor. Here's where we stand on materials. Here's how the project's going. Do we foresee any issues? How can we avoid them? Is there a change order? All those kinds of things. That's when you communicate them. The other thing that I want to bring up here is around the channels that you use to communicate. A lot of people are just making a phone call. They're texting. Sometimes they're using WhatsApp. I think it's really important to get into a group channel so that anything you talk about on the project, even if it was just me and Martin talking about the project, it needs to be in a place where everybody that's on the team can see that communication so that everyone knows that, hey, anything that happened on this project, they have the ability to access the information about it. Now, that can become a distraction. It can become complicated, but just get into some sort of group message. And every time you communicate, hey guys, morning huddle at this time. See you there, right? At the morning huddle, here's our targets, updates at the end of the day, materials have arrived, whatever it is. Communicate in a group setting rather than one-to-one, because the one-to-one creates a lot of breakdowns in communication.
Right.
The group setting is always better.
Yeah, starting with the huddle if the guys come to the shop, which that doesn't always happen,
Sure.
it's best in person, standing up. If not,
Right.
you can do it on a phone. Do it by phone. The problem for me with texting a little bit is some guys. I mean, if you want to, it's real easy to record what was said in one. But I'm
Yeah.
not even after that. I mean, at
No,
this
I'm not
early
talking about
stage,
I'm not talking about for the huddle. I'm talking about do the huddle. And on top of that, when
right.
there's things that come up throughout the day or through the project, you update in a channel. And then you
Right.
talk about them in the huddle as well.
Right.
But just something to be aware of. Really, the main thing is there, if you're talking about the project, it shouldn't be in one-to-one communication.
Right.
It should be inside of a group setting. Okay. We've gone through 4 of the areas. We're on our last one, project debrief.
Right.
What is it?
Debriefing, what it sounds like, we go back and take a look at the project. Did we hit our numbers? Yes or no? I think I mentioned to you before we got on, I have a quote in my book from Andy Grove, co-founder of Intel, and he says, in everything, at some point, you need to be able to say, did we do it? Yes or no? No judgment. Did we do it? And that's the number one thing from a
Yeah.
debrief. If we did or if we didn't, what are exceptional events that prevented it or facilitated it so that we can create those into best practices.
Yeah.
But you have to have a point where the guys go, good job, guys, or hey, good job, guys, but we fell short this. One of the reasons was this. I failed to order the stuff material in time, whatever it was. But anyway, that you create the learning out of that.
Yeah.
That definitely is a group channel deal. But for this first one, you can do it. You can do it face to face. Hey, great job. Now we're going to the next one. We're going to do this. Same thing on the next focused job.
Yeah, I think what went right, what went wrong, I think is a really great question to ask as well. Ultimately, the debrief you should walk away from the debrief with clarity on what you need to do on the next job as well, right? Whether that's something you did right, we're going to do that again on the next one.
Right.
Or if something went wrong, we're not going to do that on the next one. This is what we're going to fix. And it shouldn't just be you that has clarity on it. The entire team should have clarity. And it should be a thorough conversation that everyone adds value to and says their opinion, shares what, their thoughts are. And like you said, it has to be objective at some point. Did we do it? Did we not? Right? So, yeah. If you go through these 5 things on one project, you should be able to hit your numbers. Maybe not on the first one because you realize that what you have to fix, but you should be much better at hitting your numbers going forward.
Yeah. Yep. And you may ignore your website and you may ignore, some issue of clearly stating your vision, which all the things that we talk about, you have to do, but do this, because then you'll make money on a project in addition to failing to these things, rather than failing on everything.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer. Divide your attention and you get conquered.
Ooh, good. I like that.
Yeah,
Divide your attention and you get conquered. Thanks for walking through this, Martin. Hope listeners found value in this, that they feel inspired in some way. Maybe not all these areas are exactly what you need to focus on, but at least one of them speaks to you in some way. Subscribe to us. Have a great rest of January. And yeah, 2025
send questions. Send
is
questions.
great. Yeah, send us questions. All right. Take care, Martin.
Right. See you, man.
You made it to the end of the episode, but before you go, if you found yourself thinking about growing your construction business while listening today, I want to share something with you. It's called our 24 Things to Hiring and Training the Perfect Executive Assistant for Your Construction Business. And it's a free guide that we've created. It's not theory. It's what we actually use to help contractors hire the perfect executive assistant. And really, we help you find ways to delegate over 50% of your current workload and get back 20 hours of your time every single week. You didn't start your construction business to just be doing admin work, to be buried in paperwork and endless admin tasks. This is the guide that shows you exactly how to find and train someone who can actually take all that weight off of your shoulders. So this is a real actionable, great PDF that has templates and processes. It's really, really great. And I want you to check it out, even just to get your feedback and how we can make it even more valuable. But I know that you're gonna love it. The link is in the show notes. Please download it. We'd love to see how much of an impact it makes on you and your business. Thanks for listening to the full episode. Check out the guide. It's free. No reason to hesitate. No reason to wait. Download it now. And before you go, I just want to ask for your gracious subscription to our podcast. So if you have 2 seconds, it means the world to us. Just subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or if you'd like our weekly newsletter delivered to your inbox whenever we release an episode, please subscribe in the show notes. Every week, we're talking about real strategies on how you can grow and build a profitable construction business that runs without you, so you can have less stress, more time, and more money. Click subscribe wherever you listen to the show, and thank you again for checking out the Cashflow Contractor. See you on the next episode.